Well, taking this week's victory lap from Advance Auto Parts is a young man that is climbing up the ladder on the West Coast, driving late models up and down from Napa. We are talking to Dylan Zampa tonight. And Dylan, let me ask you this question. How in the heck did you get started in this crazy business of running short tracks?
I got started when I was about 5 years old. My dad introduced my brother first to quarter midgets, and when I was five, I was pretty much legal in quarter midget world to race. So he got me started in that, and
Got a freeze here. You still there? Okay, you're back now. You froze up. So you can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, you must have taken a hit. All right, we'll just start over. In
Okay,
three,
yeah.
in three, two. Well, joining me today and taking the victory lap from Advance Auto Parts is a young man who is tearing up the West Coast, driving late models. It's Dylan Zampa, and Dylan, uh, getting the bug for racing. When did it start for you?
It started when I was about 5 years old. I started running quarter midgets, and I ran those for about 8 to 9 years. Won a couple championships. Went back east a couple times. Won down there, and then moved into a legend car when I was about 13, I think, and then ran those for about a year. Didn't have too much success in those, but I was just a young kid racing those. So then I moved into a junior late model and ran those for about a year. Won a couple races, ran against Jesse Love, Joey East, Tanner Reif, a lot of those guys that are running ARCA now, and moved into pro late models in 2019 and have been running those ever since.
And you're a seasoned veteran, and you're how old?
18 now.
Okay, well, you're legal across the board, so that opens up a lot of opportunities as you start to climb up the ladder. But you mentioned the fact that you jumped into the late model pool right in the midst of COVID-19. How difficult was that when you had this gnawing desire to get your career going in the big time, and we're masked and we're shut down, and there were so many different things that were happening. How tough did that make you? How tough did it make it for you to try and pursue your dream?
Um, I don't think it was too hard. I ran at Madera Speedway in 2020, and Kenny did a really good job at getting the race program started. We were a couple months off, but that gave for about 4 months, 5 months it was that we were off. So to finally get back racing in the middle of 2020 was a really big accomplishment for a lot of the racing career.
So where do you want to go with this? I'm assuming that you're like so many of your peers, you aren't going to stop until you reach the very top and follow in the footsteps of West Coast guys like Harvick and Larson, etc.
Yeah, I want to make it all the way up if I can, but currently we're kind of stuck financially running the pro late models, which I'm super happy with. I'm super thankful for what my dad and my parents have given me, all my sponsors. They've devoted a lot of time and effort into me, and to be winning around California is just a big accomplishment to me. But I definitely want to move up the ranks, and I get to do that on May 21st. I get to run my first super late model race, so I'm super excited for that, and we'll see where my racing career takes me from there.
Have you tested a super yet?
No, I have not. I will be showing up on Friday and practicing. We couldn't find a test day, so that sucks a little bit, but we'll see what goes.
Well, that'll be like drinking out of a fire hose for you, my friend. Let's talk a little bit though about what being selected as one of the Alan Kawiki development drivers has done for your career. I knew Alan very, very well, and he certainly was one of those guys that felt that hard work would gather you the rewards. So, what have you been able to take away from having them team up with you a little bit?
Yeah, Tom Roberts and the whole Kawiki and they said that I grown on social media. They saw my personality pop out a lot more than a lot of the other contestants that were in the Kawiki driver development program, and it meant a lot to me to what from what they said, and to get the Spirit Award from Paul Andrews, which was his crew chief. It just meant a lot, and I wanted to, even though I came up one spot short, I wanted to do it again to get that one spot back and to push myself even more than I did the last year. So it means a lot to me and my family, and it just means a lot to me and my sponsors also.
You mentioned that in many ways you're like a lot of guys that get started. Support not only emotionally but financially comes from your family, and eventually that you as you continue to go up that ladder, that gets more and more expensive. You've been very successful in gathering some people to support you from a partnership sponsorship side of things, but when you look at the sport of auto racing, how frustrating is it to you that nowadays a driver or an aspiring driver has to bring a golden briefcase with him?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know how to put it into words, but it does suck a tiny bit that my
I lost your audio, pal.
oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you got like a weak connection. You keep freezing up on me and everything else. You know what? I'm going to pause it. Why don't you log off and try logging on again?
Okay,
All
okay,
right,
give
pal.
me.
All right. Resume this here. Dylan, talk to me a little bit about when you're inside the race car. I have some driving experience, and the thing that I always marvel at is, yes, you got to be physically fit, but more importantly, at the end of a good hard race, you're mentally drained as well, are you not?
Most definitely you are. When you get out of the car, and you have to do like an interview or something, you kind of have to, give yourself a second to regroup. You can't instantly jump right into the interview, because then you'll just kind of start stuttering and you won't really know, because your mind is still spinning. So usually when I get out of the car, I like to take a second, talk to my crew members, and just kind of regroup a little bit, and then get into an interview.
All of us, when we have a career dream, we try to pattern ourselves or use somebody for us to pattern ourselves after. So, who is it that Dylan Zampa wants to pattern his driving style like?
I think I would consider myself kind of more like Dale Jr. He's more on the conservative side. He doesn't like to get into people very much. If someone gets into him, he doesn't even still like to retaliate. He likes to kind of hold back, and that's kind of how I am. I work on my own race car, so I don't like to get into anybody, because then I'm the one that has to fix it. So I like to stay conservative, and if someone roughs me up quite a bit, then I kind of have to deal with it. But I like to consider myself kind of like Dale Jr. a little bit.
Tell me a little bit about the West Coast short track scene. I mean, we know like All American Speedway. I know that very well. I know Irwindale. Kevin Harvick always talking about Kern. But from your perspective, there's a lot of drivers that tow as far away from Utah to Colorado that compete on a regular basis. It seems to me like it's pretty healthy.
Yeah, I mean, the racing out here is very competitive. A lot of guys like to race good and hard. A couple door bangs every once in a while, but really good hard racing. Everyone's very respectful, and everyone's very respected out here on the West Coast. Jeremy Doss is one of them. He also ran for the Kawiki Driver Development Program in 2019, won it, and I kind of look up to him a little bit as well. I raced against him last year. I came up one spot short in the championship to him, but I'm looking for a Kawiki championship this year, not as so much a series championship. So just going out to every racetrack I go to and looking for a win, not looking for points.
Well, you got the season started off pretty good when you scored that double at the opener at All American. No, you didn't really maybe have the best of experiences recently. Where were you running? Kern, I believe. And I thought I saw you on your social media. Yeah, you worked hard over the weekend, but it just wasn't there like it was at All American, was it?
Yeah, no, we had good speed on Friday, and come Saturday morning during practice, we struggled a little bit. The ARCA cars put down a lot of rubber for that track, and we run these little 8-inch 970 Hoosier tires. So when you would throw it in the corner going 95 miles an hour with those little 8-inch tires, they don't hold up very well. So we got to work right before qualifying, and my dad put together a really good rocket ship for qualifying. Qualified fast time for the second time in a row at Kern. So we felt good going into the race, but it seemed we pulled the 7, so we didn't have the best luck on the card draw. And everyone just seemed to be super free getting in the corner. The tires just weren't sticking on the track. So we had a halfway break at 40, and my dad made a really good adjustment, and we worked our way from 7th up to 3rd at one point, and we're challenging for 2nd, and on a restart got hit from behind and caused me to lose 6 spots, and I managed to work my way back up to 6th place. So I was happy with that, but I was disappointed. I let my crew and my dad down for sure. So I take a little bit on my part, but we'll get it regrouped, and we'll be back at All American in 3 weeks.
Let's talk about your circle of friends. All racers, or do you have some side interests? Let's say.
Yeah, I have a couple buddies that help on my race car. One of them being he's my tire guy. He actually doesn't race asphalt, which is surprising, but he does the tires and he does a phenomenal job. He races dirt sprint cars actually, and I go out there and I help him every once in a while. So to be on dirt was a little weird at first, but I kind of got used to it. Kind of felt like my second home. I hope to race dirt one day. I see a lot of the NASCAR drivers racing dirt. I think it's just a good trait to have to race both sides. It helps with figuring out what the car is doing. It can really good car control. That's one of them. Kyle Larson, you see him get hit. He does some of the craziest saves. So if I could race dirt, I definitely would. I would definitely want to.
Well, dirt will give you a good background too, because they've always said that dirt drivers, they're not afraid of a loose race car, and loose is fast. You know that.
Definitely, I'd rather have a free car off the corner than a tight car in the center for sure.
So what's ahead for the rest of the year? Just chase that Kawiki championship, as we like to call it. Maybe go one step further and get that Advanced Auto Parts NASCAR Weekly Series championship at All American. You were talking about the fact that the ARCA West cars laid down some rubber that you had to deal with at Kern. But I wonder, how often do you go over there and try to do some networking, wander through when you're in a show along with them as one of the events?
Yeah, All American's a really good racetrack. Stephen Blakesley does all the PR for them. He's a really great guy. He's really good to work with. He knows his stuff with PR and all that stuff. So racing at All American Speedway is just a really great track, really great atmosphere. The crowd that comes out, they always get a really big crowd, and when you're doing that Polish victory lap and you take your helmet off, you can hear the crowd cheering. It's like one of the best feelings ever. So to know from where I started, when I first started racing there, no one knew who I was, to now half of the grandstands is cheering for me. So I always love going there, and I'm excited to go back in 3 weeks.
Well, we're excited to watch your career as it begins to soar. We'll stay in touch with you, and congratulations on being selected to take an Advanced Auto Parts NASCAR Weekly Racing Series victory lap today on Wind Tunnel. Thanks for joining me, my friend.
Thank you.